Hi Year 9s, this is the second lessons guidance video on your week 5 work for chemistry 11.7, making insoluble salts by precipitation. Your learning objectives are to be able to choose suitable reactants for making a salt. Now, we covered that in the first lesson, but you will have a chance to revisit that with the videos in this lesson. Should be able to choose some suitable reactants for making an insoluble salt by precipitation. You worked on that extensively with the video in the first lesson. In this lesson, we'll be concentrating a little bit more on that point and also being able to say what spectator ions are and identifying the spectator ions in a precipitation reaction. The optional extension work was available in lesson 1. So if you finished this work and you haven't finished the optional extension work, you will have a chance to go back and have a go at that extension work, which is to link this to the application of film photography. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to watch the video from the first lesson and remind yourself of what's happening in the diagrams in section 11.7 of your chemistry textbook. That's what we're going to be focusing on. The section of the video that you ought to concentrate on is the section starting from 7 minutes 15 seconds going up to 10 minutes 17 seconds. I recommend that you go and watch that section again just to quickly remind you of what's actually happening, because it will then make more sense. If you need to watch earlier parts of the video just to support your learning, then of course I would make a little bit of time to go over some of the earlier parts in that video. So this is the big task that we're going to be doing today. I'm going to come back to this in a few moments. But essentially what I want you to do is I want you to manipulate these slides, and I want you to add labels to the slide. I'm going to guide you through how to do that in a moment. Let me just make sure that you know what the rest of the lesson is about so you can organize your time and make sure that you realize that this is the main way in which I'm going to be assessing your understanding. After this, you then will have a mandatory quiz. That means that you have to do it. The first part of the quiz will help me check your understanding of identifying the steps taken in the method. Now, the steps in making barium sulfate are at the bottom of section 11.7. And essentially what you're going to be asked to do is you're going to be asked to rewrite these steps, but instead of having steps in making barium sulfate, you're going to be asked to rewrite these steps in order to make magnesium carbonate. So all of that work that you did in the video work from the first lesson is really going to help you with this lesson. So I'll give you a little clue. The two liquids that we used were sodium carbonate and magnesium sulfate. As you can see on the left-hand side, this is the actual equation, the symbol equation. This may help guide you as well with some of the questions that I put in your quiz. So we start off with magnesium sulfate and sodium carbonate. Where I need to lead you to is I need you to be able to come up with this correctly, identifying the ions with the correct charges, with the correct state symbols. I need you to be able to say that magnesium carbonate in this example is made and that it is a solid. So the first thing that I would be asking you to do, just to give you a quick clue, is instead of making up solutions of barium chloride and magnesium sulfate, the first part of a new step would need to have magnesium sulfate and sodium carbonate, because I'm going to be asking you about that precipitate. So you would put magnesium sulfate, and magnesium sulfate is actually already there, but sodium carbonate is what you would put in place of this barium chloride, because we want to make magnesium carbonate. Okay, so let's come back to this slide over here. Now I'm going to show you how to move around the text, how to make text boxes, and quite a few of you are struggling with subscripts and superscripts. It's really important when you have the opportunity to use subscripts and superscripts. So I'm going to train you on how to do that for this bit of software. To zoom in and out, Control Alt and Plus will be useful. So Control Alt and Plus should, it's quite sudden, but what you'll need to do is you'll need to identify which of these is sodium carbonate and which of these is magnesium sulfate using the ions. Now, read the text at the top. I've actually told you which one should be which. So magnesium sulfate is one on the left, and sodium carbonate is the diagram in the center. You'll notice that the magnesium sulfate has oppositely charged ions on a 1-to-1 ratio. So this should work. You highlight the ion, Control C should copy it. Okay, I'm using a laptop for this. And then Control V should paste it. And I've just made a brand new text box, quite a large text box. So I've just highlighted the magnesium ion. So I put the ions on the left-hand side to speed things up. If you wanted to, you could put your own text boxes in. However, it will mean that you'll need to put the subscripts and superscripts, and I'm very conscious of time. So remember that the magnesium carbonate will make the precipitate. If we look on the right-hand side, you can actually see that it's the magnesium carbonate that forms the precipitate. So over here, these purples must be magnesium. Okay. Now, the other one is obviously the sulfate. So let's go to the sodium chloride. Now in the sodium chloride, sorry, I should correct myself. In the sodium carbonate, that you start off with, you actually have 2 sodiums for every 1 carbonate. So if you try and stick it into a text box that's already there, you're going to mess things up. So I would suggest that you go right to the border before you paste, and then move your text box. Okay, make sure that the plus stays where it is, the superscript. It's the plus. And what you'll need to do is you'll need to move. Now, remember what I said? For every 2 sodiums, there is 1 carbonate in sodium carbonate, because the formula is Na2CO3. So CO3 is 1 particle. So you'll need to move the sodiums there. These orange ones will be the carbonates, so you do exactly the same thing. Okay? And then what you do is you add those labels to this diagram here. Okay? You're not going to mess up any of the circles. I've drawn this and I've kept it as one image. So the only thing that you're moving around and labeling are the ions. It's going to take time, but you should be able to start enjoying it once you know exactly what it is that you need to do. Now look at the text. Now this was for the example in the book, but we're not working with barium chloride, we're working with sulfate and sodium carbonate in the middle. Okay, we're not working with magnesium sulfate here, right? So I've just changed the representations, okay? I suppose in hindsight what I could have done is I could have actually put the magnesium sulfate in the middle, but the actual precipitate that's forming is magnesium carbonate, and I want that to be emphasized. So when you have a look over here, you can see that everything is done, and now the text underneath also needs correcting. So on the left-hand side, we've got magnesium sulfate in this example. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to go to the text box, type in, I would suggest maybe a font of around about size 11. Try that, magnesium sulfate. Okay. It can be pH, I like pH. Can be, yeah, I'll accept both. So, solution of magnesium sulfate. See how that text box goes there? So what I need you to do is I need you to finish this passage. Okay. So pop that there, solution of magnesium sulfate. And then what you'll then need to do is you'll need to have the formulae. So I'm going to leave this, you can pause the video. So you can have the formulae of each of the reactants, each of the products. You can see the ions as well. You can see the spectator ions. Now pause it there and jot that down. Because what I need you to do is I need you to put that here. Okay, so it's magnesium sulfate. Mg is easy to write, SO, and then what you do is you use the guidance for superscripts and subscripts. I'll show you. Insert. So insert is that format. So insert your text box, then format text, subscripts. Goes down, and that's it. Okay. So once you've done that, that can go over here. All right. And then you've already got the ions, I've already done that for you, okay? I like this text, it's just me. I'll put it down to there. I'm going to leave those in for you, okay? So I've started you off, and I'll just copy this one over as well. Okay, so that goes there. And you should be on your way then to completing this. Okay, I have given you enough time in this assignment in this lesson to move things around as well. Okay, all right, so I'll leave that there so you know how this should work out. Okay. And I hope that is helpful. So once you've done this, what you'll need to do is you'll need to save this copy, save a copy of these guidance slides, and submit that, and I will be checking this slide, okay? So get that done. And finally, there will be a quiz that I'll have to assess all of your information about the steps that you need to take, and also the equation for the reaction, the equation for the ionic part of it. This is the ionic part of that demonstration we saw on that video in lesson 1. This is the equation for the reaction. You can identify the spectator ions, and I will be asking you to 2 or 3 questions about those ions. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope that you enjoy it. I spent a long time doing those diagrams, and I really look forward to seeing your understanding. Stay at home, stay safe, and look after yourselves. Bye.